What I want to do is unbrainwash people. I read an article this morning about how I was unbrainwashed. And this lady fell in love, and her husband, boyfriend, whatever, probably boyfriend at the time, said, I really think you should start. Obviously, they had wildly different views on political and really issues that are dividing the country, or they're trying to divide the country with these issues. And he didn't say, no, you're wrong. Look at all those terrible things that happened with the vaccine. He said, why don't you forget what they say on the news and do some of your own independent research? And he didn't start out with COVID. He started out with, well, you're seeing this. I believe a family member of hers had cancer. And what she was seeing and what the doctors were telling, that it was totally incongruent and it wasn't making sense. And she's obviously very intelligent, very highly educated, very successful. She said, how could somebody as educated as me be this blind to the truth? And he never told her what to think. That's something we're going to do. We are going to teach you. It's not about what to think. It's about time and who do you take advice from. And we were listening to a decent financial advisor, and he's on the Rich Dad radio show. And he said, the worst thing ever, and it happens all the time, is they said, here, I trust you. I heard you, or I read your book, or you're a friend of so-and-so. Here's all my money. Make it grow. And that's not how you do it. If you spend more time planning your wedding, is that important to most young ladies, Lila?
There's an awful lot of them that think that's incredibly important, but it's one day. To me,
Right.
the commitment was worth more than that day.
And how long are you probably, if we another widespread belief, we retire at 65.
Yes.
How long is you as a woman, which will probably live longer than me, be alive after you turn 65?
Based on my genetics, probably in the 90s.
Right. So I would say at least 20 years for most women and very comfortably 30 for some.
Yes.
And yet many guys don't make it through the 70s. So not only do you need to take advice, and that's something that Kim Kiyosaki does a great job.
Yes.
She goes, well, look, we're going to live longer than them. Not to mention, it's common. I mean, you're only 2 years younger than me. But it is more common for the guy to be older in the relationship. Not always, and maybe not so much anymore. But it doesn't matter if it's 2 years or 10 years. Even if the woman was 5 years older, she's still probably going to live longer than the guy, statistically speaking.
Yes.
So don't you dare sit back and let your husband control everything. If you're in a relationship, you need to know what's going on. And haven't I always, even though you kind of just gave me control, and your mom always says things like, Jerry took very good care of me.
Yes.
He made great decisions. She could have followed through. I don't know. She seems to understand a lot more than some people. And we're talking about Lila's mom here.
Yes.
But I think everybody, you should discuss it with your partners and make sure that you're both on the same page making financial decisions.
Well, and that's one of the things my parents did. They would sit down and my dad would say, look, here's the stocks that I want to invest in. Here's why I think they're good. And my mom would listen. And if she had questions, she would ask. And so he would take that into account because if it was something he hadn't thought of. But while my dad actually took the physical action of buying the stocks, my mom knew exactly what was going on.
And that kept him on his toes. I didn't know they did that, but that's excellent. That's exactly what should be done because he had to know enough to, stand up to her questioning. And if he couldn't justify it, it didn't mean he shouldn't buy it or that he was giving in to her. It meant he should know more before he buys.
Yes.
And if you spend more time planning your wedding than you do planning for 10, 20, or 30 years of retirement, or if you blindly give up control to your partner and say, oh, I hope they're taking care of me. Or even worse, if you blindly give up control to your advisor or stockbroker. How much time are they worrying about your retirement and who's going to live the longest and talking to you? And how much time are they thinking, how can I pay my bills? I got to get another commission. Think that through right over this break.